You need a proposal, I'll propose a minute,
Yes,
Sarah.
if you
Happy.
I'm happy to second, I was here.
Tracy's seconding. Okay. And no matters arising. Right, on to President's remarks. Really just what I said earlier, I've put out a strategic plan to the team leaders. I haven't yet sent it to Revolution, but I can do that if you like, and then you can have a discussion.
Yeah, no, by all means, if you're happy to share it with me, I can feed it in.
Yeah. Okay.
Thank you.
And I have filled out the goals for Rotary for this year, so it's about 20 altogether, 2 of which we've got already because one of them is Ryla, and we've got 2 people for that, and the other one was producing a strategic plan. So,
Do I pay for Ryla, by the way?
It's paid for.
It's paid for,
yeah.
It's paid in last year, although
Yep.
it is actually falls in this year, though.
So on to Brian, Secretary's report.
I have just sent out an email about Dr. Doolittle. As we're sponsoring it, so what we're doing, they give me so many free tickets, but I think it's best to spread that across those who go as a discount. So that's what I'm doing. I think last year we had 27 people went to A Midsummer Night's Dream. 12th night. Get it right. 12th night, yeah. So that's, I've emailed that out today. Coffee morning, I've got lots of people offering to help, so that should be okay. I'm just holding back because there is a coffee morning next Saturday at Gracious Street. So once that's happened, I've got posters already organised. So those will be in Gracious Street on the tables anyway, for the weeks leading up to it, and obviously go on the internet as well. So those.
Are we going to have our display board then?
We're going to have our display board. Martin House are going to give us some help as well. They've got some balloons and things like that. I'm sure it will be good. And hopefully, I don't know, a target, perhaps, hopefully we might make 200. That's the sort of amount. We might make more, it just depends on people's generosity. Well, there's lots of offers for cake, so that should be okay. As I said earlier, next week we're going to hear an update on the 2-2 desk, and for those who weren't around when that started, I think you'll find it a very interesting story about how these things come about and how long it takes for them to be completed. And that involved also Rotary grant as well as funding that we did ourselves. The programme is pretty full. The next available speaker date at the moment is the 30th of September, and that's already out on offer. And beyond that, it's the 11th of November. I'm told, I don't want to pinch your thunder, but understand that Revolution are planning an outdoor cinema event, so I'll put that on the programme as well. That's the 28th of September. So that's all I have.
Okay, thank you. I think I've already replied to you about Dr. Doolittle.
Yeah. Very quick.
Okay, Treasurer's report. Tracy.
I'm only here because it was June's accounts, even though we're into July, so it was just that I did up to the end of year, and I will be doing the full end of year accounts in August when I'm on leave. Did anyone have any questions about the accounts that I sent out. I know Ian's got other things to raise, but I'll take that as a no.
No, none from me.
The only thing I would say is, are we any further in changing the names of the trustees both for
Well,
the
I'm
club?
glad you raised that because we haven't had the accounts for 2023 from the War Trust, so I'm really hesitant to make any alterations. So we're waiting on Hazel, I think.
Yeah, I was
Yeah,
going to say it's not
waiting
me, it's
on
Hazel.
Hazel.
I've emailed Hazel 3 weeks ago. I haven't had a response.
Well, her aunt died,
I'm aware of
so
that.
Yeah.
I think it was a funeral today.
Well,
Yeah, so hopefully she will be in touch. I've sent on the form
Right.
that you sent to me.
Because it's both the charity account, isn't it, that we need to change,
No.
Indeed, yes.
doing
as
it-
well as the War Trust
Yes.
Oh yeah, for the trustees, yeah, sorry.
for the charity commissions.
Good old Chris here is involved in that, but that's in hand.
Right.
But I think I would like it minuted that we haven't had the accounts for 2023 from Braze.
Yeah.
I did raise it with Hazel. It was a very brief conversation. She was talking about the cost of it. I think we need to get to the bottom of that. But it is my opinion that we ought to have professionals
Yes.
audit the account.
I think with the War
Yeah,
Trust.
I've never done the War Trust accounts.
No.
I just hand the information to Hazel and then
Yes.
run away as fast as I can.
Yeah.
No, it's important. It is such an enormous amount
Yes.
that I think we've got to have that.
But I'm in touch with a charitably minded accountant. I don't know whether he's capable of doing a CIO. I've raised this with Hazel.
Yeah.
The matter is with
Okay.
her. I'm afraid.
Okay. We'll just have to wait for her to service.
I've done a summary then of finance. I don't know, Simon, whether
He's heard everything?
Yeah, I've got everything with you. It's all on my phone, I just don't think
Right.
but
Well, there's nothing much to say at this early part of the year, but I've actually paid the RIBI subs now of 16.30.
Right.
The district subs will be due by the 10th of August. So, but I haven't had the accounts, so I don't know about that yet. Subs 17 members of the senior members of Rotary have paid, either half yearly or for the full year. 9 so far have paid from revolutionaries, either full, half or monthly. I noticed that Kit has paid 110 and also paid £9.17.
I think that was.
Does that relate
Yeah,
to us?
I think that was last year's
I
subs.
think that was for last
Will
year.
you pinch that then?
I mean, metaphorically, yes.
Okay. I've received a £500 dividend from the Christmas market. I intend to put that to the club account. I'm sure nobody's going to argue with that point. Thank you. I think otherwise. Gift aid. This is a matter that's also outstanding. Hazel is dealing again. I am quite prepared to take it on as a swap for her to get to the bottom of the war trustees matter.
Yeah, I have all the information for gift aid. I have everything recorded for the last 2 years, and obviously we'll have the third year when I sort that out in August. We can apply for gift aid up to 4 years after it was gifted, so it's not money lost. I know you know this anyway, but I did try several times to get registered for gift aid, and were never unsuccessfully on every occasion, and I haven't had the opportunity to be able to follow it up. So yes, I'm happy that we could maybe work together on that.
Okay, on that point then, could you let me have it for the 3 individual years the income from the wishing well.
Yeah.
That's included.
Well, I've got the gift aid. I've done the spreadsheets
Yes, I've seen
ready
that.
to be. Oh
I've
yeah,
seen
okay.
Yeah.
The wishing well's on there.
Is it?
Yeah,
I didn't notice that.
yeah.
And the wishing well for this year as well.
Yeah, but I haven't done that yet
Yeah,
because I'll do
quite.
that in
Yeah,
August.
yeah.
Yeah.
Right. When will you have
Yeah,
that ready?
about our wishing.
In August.
The second week of August is when I'm taking my leave to do it. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah.
Design.
It's a fair choosing. It's like,
Two rows here.
That's me. Thank you.
That's right. So that's everything from treasury. Okay, moving on to teams, community reports, including all trust matters.
Yep. Okay, well, I mean, obviously I've sent out the minutes of that. I've already sent Ryla, our candidates are on the way. I think, in fact, that's not going to be a problem. I know that Deborah was slightly worried about getting everything in their car, that is the two candidates and the luggage, but that's something we're going to look at. It may be that I need to come back to somebody and say we need a hand for transport, but at the
You
moment,
don't know the dates.
What's the date?
I'm sorry, I can't remember.
Usually end of July.
Yes.
Yeah, well,
I'll,
I've got it here somewhere. Carry on talking and I'll find it.
um,
I'm sure I could do it.
but that's all about that. In fact, I think she was convinced it was okay, and there were slight doubts as is it satisfactory having husband and wife in the same car?
Of course.
Decided yes, it
I
was
mean,
perfectly all right.
You've got to have
Yeah,
two
we've done it.
people.
Exactly.
anyway.
Yeah,
Just
I mean,
two
I'll just say
These days, you can't
Yeah.
go on your own. So if I do it, it'll be my wife will get dragged out.
yes,
Unless there's somebody else that wants to come with me.
yes.
I think that was you once, didn't
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
You
so
don't
I don't
mind
mind coming,
doing
I
it.
just don't like driving.
Oh, well, that's...
Well, not that route.
Oh, no.
It's a bit hairy. but
It's a bit
actually
hairy.
Down to
Yeah.
Hebden Hay. I can't
Exactly.
say, so, yeah.
Exactly, stone walls on both sides and just praying that nothing's coming the other way. The dates are the 21st to the 27th of July, or the 28th of July to the 2nd of August. Those are the 2 weeks.
that's the first one. They're both on the first one.
Oh,
Okay.
they're both on
Oh, they're both on it, so 21st
That's why I
to the
mean that was the
27th.
point. They would have all together would be 4 people in the car, and it was a bit worried about if they had a large amount of baggage. But we decided that's not the case anyway.
Yeah, they'll be fine. To be honest, they can have the bag on their knee if they
Yeah,
don't need
exactly,
to.
or
Yeah.
between them.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right, so that's anyway. Right, moving on then. There's a couple of new projects we're keen on introducing, and one of them is very much from Eleanor. And if you may remember that we had, going back several years before COVID, we had the Sunday afternoon tea, where mainly Rotarians, but people gave the house up, and we had half a dozen to perhaps 8 people round.
So hosting an afternoon tea for the elderly at your house?
Yes.
Okay.
So, yeah,
Yeah,
there
yeah,
were
fine.
2 groups. I ran one and John Dawson ran the other.
Mhm.
We had about 12 people on each, so we had 2 extra other cars. So you had 3 in
Yeah.
sort of car, 3 or 4. And we had a whole range of people who would host. It was once a month. Not Rotary families necessarily, although some Rotarians do. And basically it was run under an organisation called Contact the Elderly, who then for some strange reason decided to change the name, and I can never remember what it was, and none of us thought it was any good because it didn't say what it was. Whereas Contact the Elderly, that was what it was all about. But of course COVID came along, and so it all stopped. Post-COVID, the organisation then came out with lots and lots of rules and regulations, red tape, and John Dawson and I just said, forget it. We're not getting involved with that because it made it almost impossible,
Yeah.
really. Because whereas I could pick up 3 elderly ladies in their 80s and 90s, I'd only be able to pick up 2. I'd have to have another sort of adult. You know, you had to have DBS or whatever it's called these days.
And then have you got a
And the people who were hosting had to be DBS, and you know, it just got
So
ridiculous.
we're just doing it like friends.
I think this could work if we're doing it through Rotary, and I don't think we need to go down all those rules and regulations. So,
What happened is that, in fact, I attempted to take this over, and just as Brian said, the paperwork was just impossible. You know, I'm quite good at dealing with things like that, but I just threw up my hands in horror and decided it was just going to be too complicated, and it seemed to be defeating the very object they were trying to do, which was have a nice sort of informal chat, and it was not going to work, so it just got abandoned. But what happens, this is something slightly different. The idea is that, in fact, the event would take place on a regular basis at Hillview Manor. That's a sort of
it's only residential
yes,
care.
yes. And in order for that to proceed, though, it's necessary that, in fact, the residents are consulted. Are they happy about having non-residential people coming in from various areas? I think the answer will be that yes, but let's see how that develops. What we will require is probably will require some finance for this, but certainly Rotary will require some drivers to collect the people, if we collect them. So, but let's see how that develops. Eleanor is very, very keen on progressing this, and she's actively following this up. So it's just going to take a little while before we get a decision from Hillview Manor. Are we happy that this is something we should proceed with? I mean, it may have a financial cost. I don't know what it's going to be. It's not going to be massive, whatever it is.
Yeah, presumably we'd have to contribute to the team.
Yes, that sort of thing. Yes,
and all that sort of stuff. I mean, if you're going to hold it at Hillview Manor, that, in theory, should solve some of the problems around any DBS and whatnot, because there'll be staff there, isn't there, that would deal with that. So, yes. We're all happy.
Yeah, I think we're
Yeah.
brilliant.
Right. So we'll go to the next stage then, and just see what comes back, and from the point of view of just how it would be organised and what the cost might be. So just if you let me proceed on that one with Eleanor, see how it goes on.
Yeah, certainly worth pursuing,
The other thing is that we're keen on, and some of you may remember going back quite a time, several years ago, we gave out to the schools Dictionary for Life, which was, we gave it to the people leaving the primary schools. Well, there's been various discussions about that, and Jonathan Beer has come back with a proposal that that's something we should resurrect. This time, having had discussions, or various people's discussions, particularly the Staveley School and things like that, it's suggested that far better than give it to people leaving, we actually give it to people actually in the school years, so it can be used as part of the education, if you like. So we're talking about giving these books to year 3. We're not quite sure how many pupils there are in our schools in our area, but what happens is we've assumed it's something like just under 200, probably 180, but that's something we'll come back with it when we've got a figure. And the proposal is that, in fact, we get 2 years' worth of books, something of that sort. So we'll probably go for 400 books. We think the cost is something like £5 a book. That remains to be seen. The figure we've got at the moment is at 380, but that's rather old, and it may well have gone up quite a lot. I'd be surprised if it hasn't. We would raise the money for that from 3 sources. A certain amount we would raise ourselves, if you like, from the club, and we're thinking about £400, £800 from the War Trust, because I think this will certainly qualify, and go for a district matching grant of £1,000. So we'd end up having £2,000 which you'll see is roughly producing at £5 400 books.
Mm.
That's the plan at the moment. We need, assuming we agree to this, we need to get quite a move on, because in order to apply for a district grant, we have to do it by the end of this month. There's quite a few discussions I would need to have with those people, because in the past, in order to apply for a district grant, you had to go on a training course. Well, none of us have been on that, but I'm sure we can overcome that by one means or other, find somebody.
Is there not something online? about-
Yeah, I'm sure there are ways of dealing with this, but that's something I've got to contact the name of the person involved, and that's Stephen Ellis. I'll be contacting him
Yeah, Steve,
and
yeah.
discussing that. So if we, as council, are happy that we proceed on this basis, perhaps questions first before going any further.
Mm.
Could I just add in something? The discussions at the moment, as far as we've got, is that because of the time scale, the books would arrive about next May, June. Okay, you have to get the order in by the end of December. The books would arrive May, June. We would hopefully make overtures with the schools. We're talking about 5 primary schools in our catchment, plus I'm saying 1 for Staveley, Lingerfield and Great Ousburn, because between them they'd make up 1 in terms of the number of year 3s. The idea would be to present them at the end of the year, but then to present the second year, the second phase, on the open evenings for year 3 at the beginning of the term. That way we could have our display on Parents' Evening at the respective schools and engage with the parents while they're waiting to see the teacher. We're giving out a book with the child, okay? So it's just it's a way, a bit of PR. Also, we engage with those parents, okay? And we could make sure that our display boards are sort of appropriately targeted for the audience that we're displaying for. So this was really just to get some momentum on it. So although we're saying it's in 2 phases, those phases would come together quite quickly. I'll make a few phone calls to those schools to find out how many children are actually in year 3, because I honestly don't know whether they've got 1 class or 2 on some of these schools.
And they might have 1.5 as
Or
well.
they might have
Well, they might have 1.5. I know
Right,
Aspen's
shared.
got 2, but
Yeah, yeah.
must be
Whereas
Yeah.
somewhere like Staveley, it's got 80, less than 80
Yeah.
children across the
Across the
whole
whole
of the
thing, yeah.
Yeah.
band, which
Yeah.
is why I'm only counting those 3 schools as 1. And the Forest School is something completely different, because there the children are 3 to 16, but as the the lady was telling us last week, they would decide who would get them, because you could have a 15-year-old with actually the mental age of year 3,
Yeah.
and they would know who to target and who would appreciate them.
Yeah.
So once again, it's difficult to know exactly those numbers, but would fine tune them. But we've got the costs there, and we just reckon that in terms of having a nice book plate at the front of these books, with presented by Knaresborough Rotary.
That's what we did before.
It's a win-win. It's something tangible, and although all these kids, everybody's going online, there is still great value in actually a touch and feel book. And the joy of these Osborne books is that you look at one thing, but it draws you into seeing the other things there as well. So it's more like an encyclopedia. And to be honest, the unit cost works out such a bargain under this Dictionary for Life project.
Right.
Because in fact, this was from it's in its 14th year, and actually it's working out at about £3.80 a copy. We're saying £5, but if we get half of that from district, it's costing £2.50 per unit, which is stunning for
Yeah.
something with a list price of about £10.99, £11.99.
I mean, is this something that Revolution might be interested in, sort of coming along when we do?
I can certainly put it to the members. That doesn't necessarily sound like you need us involved, but we're happy to help if there's some role to play. It sounds.
But you're sort of
Yeah, if it gets
nearer
legs
to this.
and we can manage to do this, then perhaps we could touch base with
Yeah,
you.
absolutely.
If, for example, we find that everybody's having their year 3 parents' evening on the same night,
Yeah.
and we need to be in multiple places at a time, then we can perhaps ask.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we certainly like being asked if there's something we can do to help them.
Yeah.
We'll
Yeah.
But
normally
at the
first.
moment, as I say, we haven't even got past go, but this is the plan.
Yeah.
Focus.
Right. No, that sounds good to me. I mean,
So are you happy then that in fact we go to the next stage, make the
Yes.
appropriate
Yes.
inquiry?
I think you need to get your
District.
application to the district.
Is year 3 8-year-olds?
7.
7.
Yeah.
Is this
Seven
book
to eight.
Yes.
is this actual book appropriate for a 7-year-old?
This
I mean,
is
you're
what
giving it
teachers
out.
are saying,
Yes.
that nowadays, if you give it to the child when it's above their level, they will grow into it, and they will value something that is above their ability level.
Yeah, and to be honest, the
got pictures.
yeah, I was going to say the illustrated dictionary is more than appropriate for a 7-year-old.
Yeah,
Fine.
yeah. My
Okay.
son's 7. He's
yeah,
in
he-
year 3 next year.
Yeah.
James is in
So yeah, it would be absolutely fine. The one, I know I put my 2 pennies worth in last time, and the one thing that I would love to see, but this is only my 2 pennies worth, it can be ignored, is actually reading pens, but they are much more expensive.
Yeah.
But my thing is all about inclusion, as you know, and children with special needs, and actually the ability to be able to read through something like a reading pen is brilliant, because actually it excludes them because they won't be able to read through a dictionary. And that was my only sort of, I don't know, I have to ring the bell for the kids that I advocate for who wouldn't necessarily. A reading pen, they're brilliant. You run them over the text, and they have like a headphone, and then they read out the words. So, and you can use them then in their
Very good.
SATs and for their exams and all sorts of stuff. But
They're also used obviously for younger children when they're learning. Is it leap? My son
Yeah,
had
well,
me as
it's-
younger.
yeah,
so
yeah.
that makes.
but for children with dyslexia,
Yeah.
but actually if they get used to using them, they can use them in their SATs in secondary education. It becomes a part of their normal way of working. And they're great, but they are a lot more expensive. But that was the only thing I was. So if there's any flex in your
And the books as well. There's special books, aren't there, that come here? If I remember rightly.
only with the leap, the reading pens can read anything.
Ah, right. Yes. Okay.
The idea is that you can put them over any text.
Okay. So yeah, you don't need to spec. Perfect. I think, yeah.
Okay,
it's a lovely
I've
idea.
put reading pens investigate.
Yeah,
I think
just as
so.
a,
And see whether, I'll have a look at it in the next couple of days. I'll speak with Chris and see whether we can add a bit on and see if we could dovetail that in
it just
with
means that we're
this.
promoting the inclusion for those children that will not be able to
Absolutely
access
right.
a dictionary through
Yeah,
the reading
absolutely.
element.
Yeah.
It enables them to then be able to access.
Yeah, I think grant funders would like that. So it's,
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, promoting
Okay.
promoting inclusion.
Yeah. No, that's great.
So I don't think I mean, there are various things I may need to ask about filling on this application. I think it's quite straightforward, and the thoughts were at the moment, unless you would like something different, we have to name 2 contacts, other than obviously the people like the treasurer and the secretary of the club and so forth. And the thoughts were, as it was very much the idea of, I've forgotten his name now, Jonathan, yes, Jonathan and me as the 2 contacts.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So yes, there are various things, and you may ultimately require to sign something, although it says it's
You just put their name in, you don't have to sign.
but there's it's obviously, and they're probably going to may need to see the minutes. But anyway, that's all. Sorry, it's taken half a long time to go through that, but I think it is quite important and quite a useful additional project.
Yes. Well, as a former librarian, I'm very for getting books out there. Okay.
So so the what's the paper now? So the other thing to discuss is the Staveley Community Primary School outdoor provision of teaching facilities. We spent a long time discussing this and went round and round in circles to some degree, and I suppose the best way to try and summarise it, we think the idea is good, it should be supported, but they're asking for a lot of different things, and we don't really think that in fact it's the responsibility of, if you like, the community committee to actually decide exactly which ones we should support. If our recommendation to council would be, yes, it's supported, and then perhaps council passes us on to what committees decide exactly what they're going to support.
Fine.
They seem to have changed their request. Are they decreasing the amount, or is it much the same?
No, I still think it's about 18,000.
18,000. Seems a lot of money to me.
I mean, that
How urgent is it? Because I'm trying to get this head teacher to come and tell us about it.
No, this is Staveley we're talking about.
Oh, right.
Yes. So Staveley are asking, basically, they need more covered space so that they can use the outdoors because of the inclement weather.
Yeah.
They're asking for basically sheds without front doors on, so that they can have activities in there.
Ah, right.
Okay, use it as an outdoor classroom, because they're looking to take on an extra, I think it's 10 children this September, and they've outgrown the space. So it's Jonathan, Debbie and I went there, eyeballed it. We thought it was a very good idea, but we just felt that they would be better with a more permanent semi-permanent building that would be more weatherproof with doors. And we thought, you know, these instant garages that you can buy, because a garage you can just lock the door instead of having a wooden open to the elements shed. So I understand they've resubmitted, is that right, Chris? The bid?
it may be, yes, it's not quite clear exactly what they have done, to be quite honest.
Okay, so we visited, we said that we would suggest that we can see where you're coming from, but we would suggest that you need something a bit more robust, and also that you could actually lock the doors on and leave sorts of equipment in there.
But
Because
we're not
having
talking about a sort of really
open
secure
sheds-
building. It's basically, I mean, if you imagine it as something like a garden shed,
Yeah.
because it would be easily broken, but at least it would be weatherproof.
Yes, yes. So they were tasked with resubmitting. I've lost track of it then. So I understand that you've had the resubmission.
We've had some more information
Yes.
because it was sent to me and I passed it on.
Yeah.
I have to confess I haven't had a chance
I
to
haven't
read
either.
through it properly.
That's
Yeah.
right. Anyhow, I would say from what you've said, it sounds like it needs to go to the Ward Trust meeting next week and have a look at what it's saying then.
Yeah,
But they wanted to have this in place by September because of these extra children. But realistically, there isn't enough time.
Isn't there an onus on the council to provide?
Well, that's my thing.
But apparently, there is no money at all for it.
Yes.
and they don't have a big enough, strong enough, whatever you want to say, parent organisation to raise anything like that sort of money. This application really is in two parts. It's the external, we call them the buildings, and then they've got lots of things they want to put in them.
Furniture.
Some of them are storage, and there's various things like play balls and things like that. And that's why we've got an enormous shopping list. So, and there's more cost of the, we'll call them the play things or the education things, than there is actually the buildings, and that's really why we whilst in principle in agreement with the idea, felt that we could spend an enormous amount of time, and it's really down to the trustees to actually spend a bit of time, and assuming they want to, and look at it.
But doesn't it suggest that if Staveley are going to make a request, if other schools have the same sort of problem locally,
Yes.
they're going to get
I was just
rather
going to
more-
say that.
Well,
rather more requests for finance?
Well, that was also discussed, and certainly there were various points put forward on that.
There's
The
a
point-
prospect of 70 odd houses being built in Staveley,
Yes.
and 100,000 being given, but of course this is years away.
Yes.
So I suppose it's a non-relevant point.
Now, I think, as far as I'm concerned, there's an awful lot that schools should be getting in terms of local authority paying, and I think sounds like it's one of them. I mean, and it sounds as if what they're asking for, whether they're sheds, they don't sound as though they're going to be very permanent.
Which is why we said you should have a more robust.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
these instant garages seem to, do the job.
And
you'll need heating, won't you?
it's
So-
calculated.
No, don't need heating, because they're going to be wearing their coats and things out there.
In December.
Well,
Yeah, they'll
it
just
is
wear their
called-
coats, they'll be fine.
It is called the Forest School.
They were genuinely.
I know.
If you
Yeah.
wrap children up, they'll be
sorry,
alright.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
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 See,
Had a long day.
I suppose the other thing I would say is when the council asks schools to take on additional children, they will look at the square footage or meterage, and you get a particular number. And I can't remember how much it is. It's something like, I don't know, is it about a metre per child? But basically, it's not a lot. So when the council gives you extra children, they will literally measure your buildings and your space and work out whether the extra children will
Yes.
fit, and that is it. So with regard to extra space outside, well, that's irrelevant to the council as long as you've got a playground that's of a certain size. So I'm just sort of saying that I realise people are saying there'll be an expectation on the local authority. The local authority will do their due diligence, but they will do exactly what it is that they are asked to do and not any more because of the money pressures that they're under. So, and it will be on a square footage basis, and that's it.
The other thing is, because Staveley is a village school, it's attracting from a wide catchment area children with some neurodiversity, because they clearly feel they'll have a more nurturing experience at a smaller school. So of the less than 80 pupils that they've got there, 10 to 12 of them have special needs, which means that being able to take them to a separate place to calm down or whatever, sorry, I'm not using the right terminology, to have time out, is particularly important. For the sake of, for the sake of the rest, for the sake of the rest
Yeah.
of the children.
Yeah.
So, and when you actually stood in there and you saw the space that they had with the number of children they had, and you thought, yes, if you've got a couple of children acting up here, there's really nowhere to take them to have a quiet word. So we felt it was quite a compelling ask and a relatively good price. And what you have to think about is the children are going through now, they need to be benefiting from it now, not in 2-3 years' time, because those children are having that experience in that year. We did have an issue with the contents, that the shopping list, and felt that it could be looked at for maybe just financing these shells, because they can have cushions or whatever,
Yeah, so
and have
it-
physical time out.
Yeah, it may be then that they don't get everything they're asking.
Yes,
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
yes.
I think it's fairly
Yes.
flexible. Clearly, what they need is the external buildings, whatever they are, and then how much more they get after that is up to somebody else to decide.
Yes.
What's your view? You're more in touch with.
I was going to say, I mean, I think the smaller things are easier to fundraise for, aren't they? Particularly when you've got a small number
Yes.
of pupils.
Yeah.
The only other thing that I was wondering around, and I don't know, Simon, whether you know any more, because I'm not involved in the primary schools in Knaresborough, and King James is a maintained school, but there is a trust, isn't there? There's a dominant trust in Knaresborough.
Yeah, I don't know enough about it. Honestly.
Yeah.
But I do know. I mean, Aspirin relies so heavily on the PTA and the money's generated
They
there
do.
for the extra.
Yeah.
Because it's a big
And
school.
Aspen have a very active PTA, but not
Yeah.
all of the schools do.
No.
I think we need to look at it slightly more strategically in a way with regard to sort of what the trust is wanting to put in as well, because they're actually they have the economies of scale, but I don't think that the trust that we have within Knaresborough is one of the trusts that I would tell you to run in the opposite direction really fast, because there are some of those that exclude lots of children. I think generally we have more inclusive.
Yes.
Do we know what the trust is that
No, that's what I was
Staveley
just
is?
thinking. I'm not sure what the trust is, but it might actually be the trust the people that we might do better to have conversations with is the trust. Is Staveley in a trust?
Well, it's part of Lingerfield and Greater Usborne. The three
It's
schools.
federated.
The three schools have one headmistress.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they're
Presumably they're
federated.
part of a trust as well. They're
Don't
trusts.
know. But you see what I mean? That actually it's the trust that's divvy up.
Yeah.
So the money will come into the trust then divvy the money out. So the local authority has nigh on nothing to do with schools that are in
Yes.
trust.
Yes.
Yeah.
They have no power. They
Yeah.
don't give. They
Yeah.
don't
Yeah.
have any money really exchanged.
Yeah.
So I suppose I'm just saying it might be worth exploring that element as
I
to what the
think,
trusts are.
their head teacher has exhausted.
Yeah,
which
and
is why they've come to us.
I'm not disagreeing with Staveley at all.
Yeah.
I'm sort of thinking, I know there's a different thing that people raised in that conversation around, but are all the schools going to ask for money?
Oh, I see. what you mean.
And I suppose my opinion with that is I think that's where you might need a discussion with the trust to sort of go, well, actually, if we are putting money into the schools in Knaresborough, what is actually needed? Where would money best be spent? What's happening within the different schools? But that would be at a trust level.
Yeah.
I was just thinking, because actually schools, they do need, like I say, Aspen's got a very active
And I'm
PTA.
sorry, I've written to each of these schools. They've all had the same letter. We're saying we're here.
Yeah.
We've got money to give. Speak to us. We'd like to.
And
speak
Staveley
to you.
have come
Absolutely.
back.
And Staveley have come back to us.
Yeah.
Okay. If the others haven't, then sorry. They had their chance.
Yeah, yeah.
And we would say that we view every bid on its own merits. It's standalone.
We do.
And
Yeah, it's just Staveley Communities, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's part of a federation.
yes.
Yeah, so
Along
it's just the three.
With
The
Great
three, yeah.
Lisbon and
Absolutely.
So I would say I'm not disagreeing with anything. I think the small things are PTA and smaller fundraising can do that with, but the larger building is
Yeah.
they wouldn't be able to raise the money for.
So, if you were writing a cheque, what would you do from War Trust?
I don't know what you mean.
You're saying of the 17, what do
Well,
you
I don't
think
know because I
would
haven't seen the
be?
breakdown.
Yeah. I think.
It would depend on what it was. I think that we should pay for the physical
Very
thing.
roughly, it's 7 for the buildings. Just say it's probably less than that, and 10 for the other things. If it had to simplify
I
it
think they
massively.
had to be looked at very carefully.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I think
I think it would. I think it's probably not a bad thing for them to have to try and
Yeah.
get particularly parents,
Yeah.
Yeah.
or PTA.
Yeah, it is difficult because they've got less than 80 parents, okay? They did explain that of those, I think probably a third, 25% to 33% are of very, very modest means, okay? They struggle, it's not a rich
No, no,
PTA. And some of them travel quite a way to bring their children to that school because they want that nurturing village school.
Yeah.
In that the children would feel overwhelmed at a bigger school.
There's some Chelsea trackers arriving at the school that day.
I was going to say there will be some. Yeah.
There will be, because there will be some of the people who live in those villages,
Yeah.
most definitely. Will
So
be.
so basically we're in agreement as a council. It just needs to go to the trustees with the breakdown of
Yeah.
what's required, and then the trustees can see what's
Yes,
agreed and
I think
what's
the
not.
trustees need to look at it very carefully.
Yes, well, that's.
Yep.
Can you see why we spent?
Yeah,
we
yeah.
spent a long
Yeah,
time. How?
yeah.
I mean, I've not seen the list of
Yeah.
things anyway.
Yeah.
So that was our thoughts. Sort of in principle we were in agreement. Hopefully council will also and pass it to the trustees and see what they made of it all.
Yeah.
But are you going to give a recommendation?
Recommendation is that we feel it should be supported in some
Supported.
way.
But we, but the one trustees decide
Yes.
You're hedging, old boy.
what the cost should be. I mean, they could do a fundraiser. I mean, yes, okay.
But that's up to them, isn't it?
Yeah.
It just needs to be.
Yes.
We need to have a look at it and go, well, what are the things that they're not going to be able to afford to get, like the building, maybe one or two of the larger objects, and then the rest of it, then that could be their response. It's a shared thing,
Yes.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
but we take the lion's share.
And then, yes.
That seems the harder thing for a PTA to aspire to as well. I think
Yeah.
if that was to be contributed, I think the rest is more manageable, would hopefully inspire, motivate.
Yes.
As you
Yeah.
describe it,
Yeah.
like,
I think
those
the
longer term is what it
buildings,
adds
even if
to.
they're empty, they will be able to use them as
Yeah,
outdoor
yeah, yeah.
spaces.
Yeah.
Something to start
And
with.
also, I think once they see those, that will motivate them
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
enhance it and
Yes.
And build on top, like you said about the phases, you've
Yeah.
got the.
Yeah.
I mean, they could even apply to sort of companies, commercial companies.
Oh, yeah.
From
There are-
Exactly.
Yeah.
There are
what we're finding, sorry, how long have we got this building for?
well, we get
5 minutes.
5 minutes.
Okay.
Yeah.
When we went to the forest school, it was an education. The lady who hosted us, who unfortunately leaves next week, Jill, she had worked in the admin office. She went to leave. They persuaded her to stay on. She's been there 5 years, working 2 days a week. She's been the fundraiser. And in those 2 days, she's been approaching 30 different companies across the UK who particularly specialise in special needs grants. And she said the thing is, it takes a lot of work to put in these applications. Sometimes they don't come back to you for 8, 9, 10, 11 months.
Yes.
Which means you've got to have somebody there and the continuity. It's taken her 5 years. She's got £500,000 and they've built this amazing and well deserved, because it's fantastic, the facilities they've got. And those children come from Selby right down to Northallerton. It's a massive catchment, and it costs a huge amount because half of them are coming in taxes, which taxpayers are paying for. But it just shows that unless you've got somebody who's there doing it, it's take a lot of time. These teachers don't have time to blow their nose, and so to say that the teachers should go out and get the grants, they haven't.
PTA.
Yes.
It's the PTA really to
Yes.
do it.
PTA.
And
I mean, my daughter started school, and I came home, and my wife said, "Oh, she said the school they've got a PTA meeting on Thursday evening." I said, "You'll go," and they want a treasurer, so I said, "You do that." And I went from being treasurer to being chairman of the PTA, governor. It just went on from that. And it wasn't a very big school, and we raised lots of money because that's what PTAs do. They support the teachers. Teachers don't do it. You wouldn't expect them to.
No.
But it's a bit like Rotary. It was having fun, raising money. We found ways to do it. So it needs to go back into the community a bit.
But I just feel that the smaller schools like that are at a disadvantage. Apart from the Chelsea tractor drivers, who probably don't put the time in with the PTA because they're too busy working
You can't be sure.
Anyhow, aware of that.
But
Yeah, we need
Yeah, I
to
think-
move on.
yeah, we do. But this is obviously going to be something for the trustees to discuss
Yeah.
next week. Yeah, so we'll be talking about it all again.
Okay,
Is that?
that's it.
That's it. Okay. Because I see you've got the chain lane hub, but that's for next week.
Yeah, well, that's something else.
Yeah. Okay. Right. International, David.
I'm a little finding it difficult because my notes are on my phone.
Well, I don't.
Here
Yeah.
are, do you want to? Here are.
Oh, thank you.
I'm still printing things off.
When I said there's no clairvoyance involved, that was the only thing when I read the minutes. There was no discussion of clairvoyance.
I was interested to see that.
No.
Yeah, no. I think that's an interpretation.
All I want to talk about is the speakers' evening on the 10th of October. We have 2 speakers. The third speaker, we're thinking now of one to talk on a historical idea and bring in Mother Shipton, because this speaker event is entertainment. The only way we're going to sell tickets to the public in large numbers is if they think they're going to have a good time, and it's going to be interesting. Peter Thompson has suggested we have a PhysioNet speaker. Well, I'm sorry, but it's not entertainment. So I think that this current idea we have of we've got 2 international speakers, one speaking on imaginary friends, which is something which I think most of us have come across in the past and would like to know more. And then Andy Wilkins speaking as a futurist is intriguing, but to have someone come and talk about the history of Mother Shipton would, of course, I think appeal to a lot of people in Knaresborough, and that would help us to sell a lot of tickets. So we do need this speaker, and I have in mind one person, and I can't remember his name.
Are we competing with the TED Talks in Harrogate?
Salon North, yes.
Yeah.
Yes, we are. But they're 6 or 7 a year. This would be an annual event. So yeah, because I go to those, and that's where I was at the weekend. So yes, but the idea is that this is a one-off Rotary event.
We are committed, by the way. I have booked the hall at King James's at a cost of £100. The Treasury can make a note of that.
When am I going to pay them?
Not yet.
They will send an invoice.
So, the speakers to be found. Does anybody have a contact at St John's Church?
St John's Church.
Hmm.
Yeah, my husband. He sings with the choir.
He wasn't sure who he was. It's somebody who helps there.
Somebody else there. Right.
If not, Greg was going to go and speak to
Yeah.
Yeah.
speak to
Yeah.
Right.
people.
I'll ask John if he can find out. And that's about the Mother Shipton.
Yes,
play,
come on.
is it?
He's a chap who gives historical talks on Knaresborough. He's been at the castle and.
Because we're sort of talking about things that are really true. So a lot of Mother Shipton's predictions came true, and then imaginary friends, which actually are very real to the people that have imaginary friends. We know that there's a real reason for them, and then the idea is that we're doing predictions as in the future of the NHS and health, and what's that idea of predicting the future and how we can do that, which is Andy's talk. So there's a theme through it, you see, which is why it's yesterday, today, and tomorrow.
The flyers already.
Yeah, that's great. If you have any ideas, please
I
scribble
would
them.
have thought the new museum people
That's who Greg's going to talk to.
will know who is the expert on Mother Shipton, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But we need somebody who can stand up on stage and give an entertaining talk in 20 minutes, which is maybe not the same person. So that's one hurdle we have to cross. Then it's the publicity for the event. We'll need posters. We have to sell tickets online, and it's a matter of finding out how to do that. And there's various options have been mentioned. And then on the evening itself, we'll hopefully have over 100 people there, and it's an opportunity to sell Rotary.
Yeah, we'll need all members to come and be volunteers and things. And then make sure that all your friends and family come, but they buy tickets.
We're actually away that weekend.
Yeah, John says
And we'll be running a bar to try to make some extra profit, and the money from it all is going to go to End Polio and other international charities, which will give us some money then for the our other projects of which I can't see on here at all. Come on, Tracy.
Well, they're just what's in the minutes, so I didn't think there was anything in particular that was
what was it?
different.
Artisan
And
Ripple effect. Thank you. That's the ones.
Sorry, yeah.
Yeah, which would save our treasurer sort of further payments. We're thinking of you, you know.
I don't believe a word yet.
Yeah.
So just membership.
Membership as per the minutes, which Brian very kindly wrote out. We've got a potential new member coming joining us in September. Fundraising ideas. I'm trying to pursue this swimathon at Knaresborough Pool the first or second weekend of February. The idea would be to pay for 2 lanes over a 2-hour period. It would be for Martin House. Try and get a sponsor for the cost of each of those lanes so that they could have their advertising up. Advertise it through the schools in the autumn term, and then try and get sort of 10-15 minute slots for all the swimmers, and then encourage them to do fundraising. So that's the general bones of it. I'm having great difficulty getting the swimming pool to talk to me. A lady called Sally last week said, no, I know, I'll forward the emails on to me, I'll get back to you, and nothing's heard since. I'm swimming there again tomorrow, so I'll chase it up. I think what's happened is because Brimham Active is being brought back into the council, the existing management are reluctant to make any decision that far ahead. So I'm confident it will happen. Apparently, if you try and get the pool any time before 3:30, you've got no chance of a weekend, but between 3:30 and 5:30, if you're only asking for a couple of the lanes, it should be possible.
Yeah, they have their fun session. We go frequently.
Yes, I'm sure.
Well, I'm not allowed on the inflatable.
I'm sure you
My
do.
son loves it.
So I still think it would be well worth doing, and I'll keep pursuing it until absolutely fails. So we keep going on that. The Easter egg raffle. Speak to you, David, about that. I think we ought to relaunch that. We used to
Yes,
get the giant eggs in the pubs.
yeah,
and
it was. I knocked it on the head because I thought it had run its course, and there was
Okay.
less. There was less enthusiasm
okay,
from the pubs.
right.
One pub put the egg out of sight, didn't sell any tickets, and then said that they'd lost it.
Oh gosh. Yeah. Okay, well we'll
So-
take that up outside the meeting and whatever. The others is in the minutes. I don't think we need to. You've said about the coffee walk. Mike Dixon's agreed to organise a walk 24th of October, and that'll be a small amount of money, just as a little fundraiser, but mainly about fellowship. Otherwise, it's as per the minutes. Nothing more to take our time up with this
Okay.
evening. Thank you.
Thanks, Stephanie. So on to Revolution.
Perfect. Thanks for having us, and thanks for all the support as well. You've obviously seen in the minutes the space person, Paul, our project manager there, that going from strength to strength and being a bit of sustain it as well, importantly. So a whole host of events that's going to be supporting. I love the digital inclusion piece that Paul's leading on, picking up with the older, Day of Older People later in the year. But a lot of local presence as well. We're looking at branding for that at the moment as well. So I'm not going to read obviously the minutes. We met just the other week at the beginning of July as well. So a lot of a good strong membership base. We've got 14 at the moment, with 2 potentially coming on board as well. Lots of ideas to try and create events. Only just at the meeting itself, we've developed one around the cultural awareness event, and we'll meet that's at COGS. We've got another planning group in place to get that set up. A lot of positive response on the back of our events and support more recently as well. So I can't remember the last time either I or someone was here, but we had the incident in the town in May. If anyone remembers, at the start of May.
Yeah.
As part of that, we've got a kind of response elements as well, so we responded there to help people in need alongside the fire service, and that was a very effective response. We've obviously helped out D-Day amongst other events as well, which I think again got a lot of positive comments, which was nice. The bed race, another good example of that as well. We had a bed I ran in that particularly, so that was particularly good fun. But again, we're looking, as the minutes will allude, at how we can support the bed race going forward in a more operational capacity, conscious of the lines, and just again sustaining that event given ageing and just the scale of that event as well as a lot falling on a small number of people. The barbecue, I wasn't able to make it, but I heard that as well. That was good. Look at you, Brian.
That was good. I'm still frustrated that Nick won't let me give him any money for food.
Yeah, that comment was mentioned that people were very generous in trying to. It was Nick's way of giving back, I think, was how he phrased it. So he was really keen to. Yeah, it's a generous soul, it must be said. But no, that was good to see. Good to see the numbers and togetherness there. You mentioned already, Brian, thank you about the open air cinema piece. That's one thing that we do as a bit of a fundraiser. Film to be confirmed, something as a sing along or something. There's probably not a lot more to mention really. It's all obviously in the minutes, but there's a whole host of events coming up that we are, the bulk of our activity in terms of members trying to support local initiatives, from the bonfire piece and Remembrance Sunday right through to obviously the Christmas events and all that.
The bed races actually helped you get a new one. Graham Taylor, who I know really well, and I spoke to him yesterday, and he's all for filling his form in and
Brilliant.
getting it. So chase that up. On the branding on the bus, don't forget we need a Rotary round. Please.
And not just a little one.
Yeah, when Brian said that, I was just absolutely. And we need to take it off to start with as well. So that's the issue.
I mean, I'm very new to Rotary and I have no idea about it. And I'm so enthused about this global, and you should be shouting it.
No, it's all on our insignia.
I like the bit where you've attributed PhysioNet to Stephanie. Have you seen it?
PhysioNet.
Yeah.
What's that song?
Yeah.
I'm running PhysioNet.
Don't
Yeah,
want
yeah.
Pete to see that.
No.
Oh yes.
No, actually, I told Peter about my liaison with,
Yeah.
so, no, that's, you need to correct the minutes.
To what extent do revolutionary members know about PhysioNet, and would they like to have more information?
Well, I'm a Revolution member and I know nothing about it.
Right.
Okay.
If that gives an
I think,
illustration.
so every so often, usually on a Saturday morning,
Once a month.
they load a 40-foot container.
Oh, now I know. I just don't know the name of it.
Yeah.
Yes.
There's-
Is that
Yes.
Right, I remember
Yes.
when I first came here, someone saying, "Can you help do some
Yeah.
lifting or something?"
Yeah.
We did raise that subject, and we'll have again something else. We're happy
It
to.
might be something that,
Support.
when you know that there's a loading, for you to go and see, because it will blow your mind. It really will. Just what's there, how much is there, and how many of these containers.
If we can get some advanced dates as well, I think the minutes. I don't know if it illustrates, but I remember the conversation. Everyone was very supportive. It's just around family, work commitments. The more notice people get, the easier it will be. For us
Yeah,
to,
there is a WhatsApp. It's basically a call to arms WhatsApp group, as in there will be a loading on Saturday, whatever, and if you can make it, great. And people just say, yeah, I'm coming, or they don't,
right.
they just turn up. I've said I'll forward that to my neighbour, James, when the next one comes in, and then it's up to him to disseminate
He
it.
will.
You never
Figure
know
it
how
out.
many people are going to turn up. You can be tripping over yourselves and think, oh, I'm going
Yeah,
home because there's so
Sometimes
many here.
it's too many. Yeah.
And then another time, there's 10 or 12 of you thinking, seriously, guys, you're joking, we've got to load all of this. And because it's volunteers, you just never know how many are going to turn up. And also, you can get some very senior people there thinking, you shouldn't be picking that up at your age, So it would be
We're
great
mindful
to
of
have some younger, fitter people. My son, who's mid-30s, he's been along to help when he can. And it's always welcome because, can you pick that wheelchair up from up there, and they make light of it, whereas everybody else is, oh. So it's good fun, it's all over and done with in about 2.25 hours. You get coffee and cakes in the middle, and it's a real, tangible, helping charities physically, getting it loaded, waving it goodbye as it heads off to Moldova or wherever.
So it was started by one of our members, Peter Thompson, and David Kelly is now in charge. And it isn't just here, it has spread, so there are depots in other parts of the country as well.
And what we were saying is that when your children are older and perhaps doing Duke of Edinburgh, this is the sort of thing that they could possibly get involved in terms of community service.
Perfect.
Right.
But I'm not running it.
Oh, you're not
So
no.
that needs to be corrected, and I
There
never
was
said I was
Peter's,
running it.
Peter's
Had a good
daughter
laugh
who
at
does
that.
Caroline, doesn't she? She runs some of it. But
She
obviously
does the
David is
WhatsApp group and the comments.
Yeah.
The only other thing, if I don't mind, Chair, as well, just on the update, I mentioned it with Brian, part of the conversation as well was us attending the council once a quarter, if that was agreeable.
Yeah.
These just gives us the opportunity just to hopefully, be present, but also have that length of time where we can give a meaningful update, but also just work and other commitments as well for the group. But,
Understood.
hopefully that's a good balance.
Yeah, I think that's
So,
really
yeah,
important.
so Graham Taylor is likely to join, and the project manager wants to sign up as well. So he's so impressed with what's being done.
You mentioned 14 members, I think I only have 11.
These were new, I think, sort of just joining.
He's new.
Right.
You've
There
got
are
But they
two,
need to
there are
dedicate
two who are
themselves.
yet to come.
Yeah.
But there are 12, I think I'm right in 12, but I'll check them there. Have you got your folded?
well, that's where I
membership
take
card?
it from.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can confirm the names and the like as well, people at the pizza.
Are we on to any other business?
Yes, just about. I was going to say I'll try and get along to your next meeting because I haven't been to one yet, and it would be good to touch base with everybody. And I might even be able to do something for, for the cultural things.
Oh yeah, on the 1st of September,
Yeah.
that's going to be good.
Yeah, I could do a Polish dish.
Yeah, I know Cornish pasties are there, that's caught my eyes so far, but anything else welcome.
Okay, yeah, so on to any other business.
We're very keen to have a secretary for the war account. Do you think-
But it's up to the ward trustees to appoint their secretary. It's not up to me, you looking at me like that.
Well, you're good at this sort of thing.
Well, I think it probably has to be one of the trustees.
No.
You
It's
want
certainly
some,
not.
well, I think the answer is the trustees need to have a
We need to have a
conversation,
discussion about
and-
it.
approach somebody.
We did raise it. We raised it at the handover. When did we raise it?
We raised it at SJP review.
Yeah, well, yeah, but we've raised it with the club as well. It maybe needs to be raised with the club again. So the trustees have said we would really like a secretary. It has been raised with club members. It maybe needs to be raised again.
My wife just mentioned that, and everyone else
I just thought it would suit one of the
Fit
new
in.
members.
Well, yeah, it could be. It could be.
Okay.
Well, there are three or four. It depends how
Yeah.
far you want to go back.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I think that will be something for the ward trustees next week to decide as well. So the next meeting of the council is the 12th of August. And that is it, as far as I'm.
And thank you very much and
And
goodbye.
thank you.
Yeah.
I am backing out with my wine.